Okay, this is big news. So I'm clearly not in my normal location. I'm actually here in Barcelona. You see, Nissan has literally just unveiled its all-new 7th generation Nissan Patrol. This thing is years overdue. The current one has been on sale for like a decade. It has one of the oldest, frankly, shittest interiors at its price point. And here we are finally with an updated Nissan Patrol. There are some things that I am very sad about, but there's also some things I think we can all look forward to, including some pretty weird new technology. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I'll be honest with you, I have just sat through an hour-long presentation. There was a lot of dancing. Was held in Abu Dhabi, and I have taken a lot of notes, so excuse me if I'm looking at my phone. It's just so I can remind myself of everything new and tell you all about it. So let's go. First of all, this is the 7th generation of Nissan Patrol. I can't believe it's been that many generations. It's also the longest running nameplate for Nissan, and you might be wondering, Matt, why was this launch event held in Abu Dhabi? Well, it's because the Middle East is a huge market for the Nissan Patrol, so actually it makes total sense. But Australia is also a huge market for the Nissan Patrol. And so yes, we got our little flag shout out there too. And once you got through all the fluff of the presentation, that's always how they go, well, it showed some pretty cool stuff. First of all, let's start with the exterior design. So if you take a look at the front, you're gonna notice that it actually looks kind of similar, and there is a good reason for that. And that is because it retains its V-motion grille, or at least what it looks like. It's of course larger, it's wider, it's taller, but it's still the V-motion grille, and it integrates into the new double C-clamp headlights. Ford Ranger, you have a competitor. It's actually built on a new platform. It's not a carryover, and that makes it 35 millimeters longer, 35 millimeters wider, and it rides on the same 3,075 millimeter long wheelbase. And I'm just gonna break the news to you now. If you want to order one of these, you are going to have to wait. It seems that order books are only gonna start to open in late 2026, and only gonna start to be delivered sometime in 2027 or further. You know, there's always delays, so if you wanted one right now, well, too bad, so sad. And by the way, its height is actually variable. It now comes with air suspension as standard across the range. And that means you can adjust the height by about 70 millimeters, which is actually quite significant because it moves away from the hydraulic system that it had before, which was quite trick, but also a little bit old school. Coming to the side, and the first thing you're gonna notice is the D-pillar right at the back that has like a little kick to it now. It's actually quite high. And so it kind of moves away from that bulbousy look that you got in the 6th generation, the Y62 Patrol, and now the Y63 Patrol, well, it just looks, I don't know, way more modern in my opinion. The belt line as well, if you have a look at it, where the bonnet goes down to the windows is actually kind of on a weird decline gradient. It's just really interesting design, I think. I don't mind it. And of course, across the range, it does have new alloy wheels, which we all love, I guess. Coming to the back, and you're gonna see double C-clamp rear tail lights, as well as a very 2024, 2026, I guess at this point, 2027, oh my God, that's a long time away. But it does have a very long LED tail light that runs across the back. And it retains, of course, the Nissan badge, the Patrol badge. It's all proudly spelled out there, and I still think it looks epic. But let me know what you guys think of the new looks. Do you like the way it looks, how everything is kind of just stretched and a bit bigger? I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know down below. Okay, before we talk about drivetrain, we have to talk about the interior, because that was the biggest issue with the previous generation of Nissan Patrol. It had a shit interior, like genuinely shit. Now, it's up to standard. So the biggest thing is this monolith, like 28.6-inch display. It's split into two, so you have your driver's display and also your infotainment display, but it does look epic. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. It's also connected to a 12-speaker Klipsch audio system. I probably butchered that. And I actually really liked the Bose sound system that you got in the Nissan Patrol, so I'm glad to see that audio is actually going to be taken care of. It's also got some really interesting new technology, like infrared scanners that look at the passengers in the front row and the second row, and it will adjust the temperature as needed. So yeah, you can be blasted by infrared lights, not that that does anything to you, I think. But there's also high quality materials throughout. You get real wood grain this time, you get nicer materials on the dash, and the design, it just looks, I think, really good actually. And also the seats have been redesigned apparently for greater comfort on those longer road trips. And that's good because I did very much like the current lounge-like chairs you get. However, there is no doubt that if you turn a corner, you kind of go flying. It also introduces Nissan's Pro Pilot Assist, which will be really interesting to see how it works on the new Nissan Patrol, because before it just had adaptive cruise control that cut off under like 40 kilometers an hour, but now it's going to be the full self-driving suite, at least as far as we've gotten these days, which will be adaptive cruise control, lane centering, blind spot monitoring, surround view camera, a lot of really cool features, I think. Proof is in the pudding though. Hopefully they are well tuned and not shit. Okay, let's talk about the drivetrain, because this is, of course, the most exciting and also the saddest part of the Nissan Patrol. The current Nissan Patrol, if you don't know, has a V8. It's a naturally aspirated 5.6 litre V8 that sounds incredible. It revs really high. It's terrible on fuel, but it is very reliable as well. So it's been a fan favorite, and now it is dead. There's actually two engine options available. The first we're probably not going to get, but I'll tell you about it. It's a naturally aspirated 3.8 litre V6 that pushes out 236 kilowatt of power and 386 newton meters of torque. No, you would not be going very fast with that engine. Instead, I think we're probably only going to get this better engine, a 3.5 litre twin turbocharged V6, and that puts out 317 kilowatt of power, 700 newton meters of torque. For reference, the current V8 puts out 298 kilowatt of power and 560 newton meters of torque, and because it's naturally aspirated, you only really get that peak power right at the top, and peak torque is at 4,000 RPM. So that's why it's so fuel inefficient. And apparently this new twin turbocharged V6 is 25% more efficient than before. There's also an all-new 9-speed automatic transmission, which will be interesting because we don't know exactly what it will tow. We assume it's going to be 3.5 ton. So that's part of the efficiency gains, but also it'll be interesting to see how that copes with some 3.5 ton towing. I'm sure it'll be fine, but it is a new transmission. Also, for those interested, it's still a hydraulic-based steering system, so don't expect the lane centering to be that amazing. It'll probably be very similar to something like a Landcruiser 300 series, which has pretty much the same steering setup. You can see who its biggest competitor is, of course. Now, in terms of off-roading, it does have a permanent four-wheel drive system, just like the current generation of Nissan Patrol. Or the old generation now, I guess. I guess it depends when it actually lands in Australia. Though Nissan do say that there are improvements to its approach, ramp over, and departure angles, so we'll have to wait and see what those are. It's also got a locking rear differential and a low-range transfer case. There are also new driving modes: rock, mud, sand, I think standard, eco, and sport. And as you can imagine, there are a bunch of new colors as well. In terms of pricing, we have no idea, but you can definitely expect a big price rise. We don't know what it will be, but the current generation, it's been creeping up in price. You're gonna get one for around 100 grand or so. The new one, I don't know what it will be, but if I had to speculate, at least 120,000 Australian dollars. Of course, what really matters is the price you actually pay, and that's why I created carsource.com/buy. I have a dedicated team of car buyers who are out there to get you the best price on your next new car. Best of all, because we have thousands of dealers who we charge a fixed fee to, we don't charge you anything. And because it is a fixed fee service, we go in the hardest to get you the best price because it's in both of our interests. So if that sounds good to you, and it definitely should, make sure you check out carsource.com/buy if you want to buy yourself a current generation Nissan Patrol or any new car. And of course, I'm very curious to know what you guys think of the all-new Y63 Nissan Patrol. Are you going to be buying one when they open up their order books sometime in 2026? That's a long time away, Nissan. Do wish it was here faster. And if you did enjoy this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below. It really helps the channel out, and share it with a friend. That's another thing that can really help. I'll be hanging out down in the comment section for a while. This is going to be a really interesting video. I gotta go to sleep. Good night.